Well, I found out about 14 years ago that I dealt with MTHFR, which is a defective glutathione pathway, which the glutathione patch does address. That's a whole rabbit hole in itself. But about 12 years ago, I found myself dealing with congestive heart failure. And I was able to function and do just fine and continue my life until I could do everything: till the garden, cut the grass, do whatever I wanted to do until I couldn't. I couldn't cut the grass anymore, but I could still go to the mailbox until I couldn't go to the mailbox anymore. And every few months, my heart would downshift. And it'd be one day, and then the next day, it's like, oh, that was really weird. But you can feel it. And one day, my heart downshifted again in September of 23. And I couldn't walk from the bedroom to the bathroom without stopping for air. I walked to my husband at the shop, and he had to help me back one time to the house. So I'm thinking, this really isn't good. And I've tried to live holistically my whole life because I've just been managing chronic stuff because of a bad genetic pathway. So anyway, I had seen Dr. Lori before, but it just didn't work for me. And she sent me a text. It was a 10-minute video of Dave talking. And when he explained and I heard his words, everything clicked. I got the text on Friday evening or Saturday, and I was in her office on Monday morning, patched up, X39 and Aeon. And now at this time, you got to realize I just lost my thought, but it'll come back. So anyway, at that time,
I have a quick question on that might help you even get back on that. This progression that happened, it happened over a period of how many noticeable years would you say?
The downshift's about 5.
Okay.
But I knew I had congestive heart failure about 12 years ago. Okay. And then at the time when I couldn't walk to the mailbox and I couldn't walk to the bathroom for the bedroom, I was having chest pains front and back. It was like ping, ping, ping. Anybody in the right mind would have been in ER. Okay. But medicine doesn't offer anything for congestive heart failure that I'm interested in. They really don't have anything to offer except diuretics, So anyway, here I am patched up and I'm thinking, okay, I still feel the pings, and I wait. And day by day, the pings lessened. And I waited and the pings lessened. And in 6 weeks, I said to myself, I wonder if I can walk to the mailbox. Now, I live in the country. My mailbox is out the house, down a hill, up a hill, and a block to the mailbox, and all the way back. 6 weeks, I could walk to the mailbox. It's like, oh my gosh, I found gold. I mean, nobody reverses congestive heart failure. It just doesn't happen. Okay. Now that's my favorite one. But I had so many other things happen. It's like, I keep forgetting things that happened. Like I had whiplash in a car wreck. And then all of a sudden I realized I can do stuff I couldn't do before. The whiplash problem's gone. I had a spot on my arm. It was just a spot. And I remember it being there for years and years and years. And I thought along the way, someday something's going to happen with that. I've got to keep an eye on it. And all of a sudden, and I had just started patching and it had just before that started bubbling and changing colors. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have it looked at. And I thought, well, I'm just going to give it a minute. And I waited and I waited, and it wasn't getting worse. So I waited, and it was about probably 8-9 months in, all of a sudden it was just gone. I can't even find it without really, really looking where the faded image used to be. So I'm thrilled about that.
You had that since you were a child, right?
As long as I can remember, like in my teens.
Huh.
Yeah, it's always been there. And then about 20 years ago, I got a wheat allergy, and I hadn't had wheat for years. And so about 8 years ago, we were at a restaurant. I've been so good. I thought maybe I've healed myself. And so I indulged in some pan at an Indian restaurant, and I almost needed a walker for 6 weeks. So about 4 months in on the patches, are you there? Okay. Okay, that's not it yet. Anyway, okay. 4 months in on the patches, I had no reaction to an accidental exposure when I was at a girlfriend's house, and she always makes gluten-free stuff. Well, what I thought I was getting wasn't gluten-free, and I didn't even have any inflammation from it that I could notice. And the screen you were just showing was when I thought the patches weren't doing anything. I went and got my blood work, and there's the look at the graph. This is 1 year apart. November 23 to November 24, this blood work test that shows kidney function increased 20 points-ish.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Substantial. It's amazing. Actually,
you kind of need your kidneys too. They're important. So even when we think something's not happening right this second, the patches are in the background doing their job. I've been on the patches 15 and a half months. I started out with X39 and Aeon, and I went home and read on them. And when I saw what X39 did, I ordered it the next day or that week and got on that immediately. And then I started carnosine. And before the month was over, I was on all the patches. Not because I think that you really need all the patches. It's just that I had so much going on. I knew I needed it now. I didn't want to wait. I wanted the pings to go away fast.
Yeah, you were dealing with such a profound circumstance. I would imagine I would want to be on as much of the technology as I could. But it was after I finally figured out what it was about and understood, right? So you took a little bit of time on this main X39 patch in the beginning. So fantastic. And that I wanted to comment too, that MTHFR gene mutation seems to be a lot of people figuring out potentially that they have that. And what a wonderful thing to know that they can use this technology along with it.
One of our doctors, and I've heard 2 testimonials on the MTHFR, and for some reason they don't test for it anymore. I haven't had that test redone yet, but I feel better and have more energy than I had my whole life as an adult since I was in my 30s, because I dealt with, Epstein's-Barr and mono and lupus, those types of things, and those take all your energy away.
So you've been patching for a total of how long now?
15 and a half months. And I figure I'm about half where I'm going to get to.
All right.
I have more that I think will happen, but I will always patch, always, for the rest of my life, because it works. And I share the patches because we're on Social Security, so it helps me afford my patches. It pays for all my patches, and it helps my friends get well. And it's a win-win for everybody. It's the most fun I've ever had in my life.